Welcome back to 11's Dirt Life. Today I have a really exciting video I think for you. We're going to walk around my wife's 2020. This is my wife Michelle. We're going to walk around her 2020 Jeep Wrangler Gladiator JT Mojave Edition. So I'll probably spend a good amount of time behind the camera. We might trade off on some spots where I want to get in and talk. I have a hard time not taking over when it comes to talking to Jeep. Someone will walk up and ask her about her Jeep, and next thing I know I'm like inserted myself into the conversation, kind of taking over. So I'm going to let her do a lot of talking about it. She knows a lot about Jeep. She's actually done a lot of work on this Jeep, but I still want to get some of my personal thoughts and opinions in on it as well. So let me grab the camera. Let's do a little walk around. First we'll talk about the Jeep itself, kind of in its stock format, how the Mojave Gladiator comes off the lot, why we kind of chose, or why she chose this particular everything about it, and then we'll get into some of the things that we've done to it, modifications, and then we'll end off, I think, with what she has planned for it going forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, I'm a truck person. I've always loved trucks and driven trucks, and so when the JTs were coming out, it was definitely on my radar. And so Josh and I, you know, we're looking at them, and I wasn't actually super impressed with how they look stock coming, you know, off the lot. But when we started seeing the Mojaves, they definitely have a different look, even stock. And so I had my eyes set on them. I was going back and forth on the fence about color, and I'm super happy that I landed on getting the Gator. I get asked about this color all the time. It's super cool green color. It looks different in different lighting. In the sun, it's a different shade, and the shade, it's a different shade. So I just really love the Gator color.
We had talked about potentially doing Stingray and having matching Stingray Jeeps, and I'm really glad. I mean, it would have been cool, but I'm really glad that you went with this color because it is like such a unique, very Jeep-esque color.
And it's only a half-year run, right?
Right. So it's one of those colors that if you didn't get it within that half year of 2020, you're probably not going to. It's going to be hard to get a hold of. So I decided to go with the Mojave Edition. Of course, Rubicon versions are meant for rock crawling. Mojave has specialized suspension just for, you know, kind of the go fast version, desert version of the Jeep. So you see some of the mods on here already, but let me tell you how it came off the lot. The Mojave version comes with a little bit higher, like it's about 1 inch higher than the Rubicons. And it has 2.5 Fox shocks with remote reservoirs. It has different suspension components. Josh can tell you the details on that. I mean, it also comes with the hydraulic bumps you can see in the coil there. It comes with the cast knuckle versus the aluminum knuckle. They're doing a lot of lightweight type stuff for these Jeeps for emissions and for, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so they reinforced a lot of things on the Mojave because it is, like Michelle said, it's the go fast version of the Rubicon. So it's on the same trim level, but your Mojave Edition is designed to go a little bit faster. So they reinforced some of the frame bracketry. They put the lower shock bolt. We'll talk about that, why we still have the OEM shock, the shock that came off the lot. On the front, the OEM shock bolt on the lower shock bolt mount is a larger diameter to absorb, you know, higher impact and higher speed and things like that. So just some of the little touches they did for the Mojave. And then Michelle, if you want to maybe get into like some of the detailed look type touches, like the hood and the interior and things like that.
Yeah, so the hood has different cowls and I don't know what this is called.
This would be like a hood scoop, and
hood
so
scoop, okay.
Yes, and the hood also weighs, I mean, about twice as much as the stock hood. It is a beefy hood for sure. I'm super jealous of this hood, by the way. I tried to steal it from her like 3 times and hasn't happened.
The kind of signature color is the like bright orange on the Mojave. It has the bright orange stitching on the steering wheel and on the seats, and then also like a burnt orange color around the vents and whatnot. I love it. It looks awesome. I don't think I was kind of an orange person before, and it's totally grown on me.
The steering wheel also, what I like about it, it's like a race steering wheel, so it has the nice hump and the cutouts and the perforations. When I drive hers and I get back into mine, I mean, you guys have seen my Jeep. My Jeep is
what I would like to think is pretty nice. When I get from hers to mine, it just feels like my steering wheel is just trash. This is such a nice high-end feel. The seats are also a little different. So Mojave, I don't know what they did differently. I think it's the way that they hug you so that you sit in the seat better, but like it's a little bit different of a seat than you would find in the Rubicon or a Sport or anything like that. Super comfortable, super nice, all the orange stitching. And then I think here's what Michelle was talking about with the burnt, and then the dash has got like a texture, almost like a gray metallic texture, which is really cool. Something a little bit different that they did there. So very cool.
So one of the things, anytime I post pictures of the Jeep, one of the things I get asked about most is, what lift do you have and how did you make that happen by keeping the stock shocks? So Josh and I decided to go with the 3-inch rock crawler coils. We have all 8 Evo control arms, and with the coils we did a correction wedge, and then with the shocks, I wanted to be able to utilize the stock shocks because they're so cool to begin with. So we did the Evo extension brackets. Took like forever to figure out what was going on there because we had some trouble with the install on that. The shock bolt holes were not were not lining up correctly, and so we were having to bore out the holes. It was a long process. It was frustrating. We were thinking we were doing, what we were supposed to do, but come to find out, the Mojave shock bolts are a larger in diameter than the Rubicon or any other version of the truck, and I don't know that Evo even made a shock extension bracket with that diameter. I don't think it was known at that time.
Yeah, we were kind of blazing trails at that point. These were pretty new off the lot, and we were doing modifications in terms of lift and things like that. And so what was going on with the Mojave, the differences in the Mojave Edition weren't really relatively known. So we didn't realize that when we got into it, that we needed to make that hole bigger and to get the bolt diameter and things like that. And so that definitely was one of those learning processes or curves that you have with a newer edition and a newer model.
But we ended up making it work on the front, and then instead of using the extension brackets on the back, I went ahead and bought the full travel length 2.5 Fox shocks with adjustable valves.
The DSC, the dual speed compression adjuster. So that we will do on the front as well. But we needed to, basically, they don't make a shock with that right diameter bolt hole on the bottom. So we're going to have to remount the shock that we have, the spacer sleeve in there. So that will happen. But this way she has full adjustability. I'm a big adjustability guy, and it's nice with a truck especially because you can see we put things in the back that she can adjust that compression in the back and stiffen it up if she's got it loaded down or things like that. So very cool option if you guys can swing it.
So that's the lift. I get asked about the stance all the time, and so I have 37-inch Cooper STT Pros. The wheels are the KMC Grenade beadlocks with the 3.5 back spacing. So I do get a lot of compliments basically on this stance. That's what a lot of people are looking to kind of achieve. It's not too big, not too small.
The Mojave has
no rubbing at all.
Right,
so.
No rubbing at all. The Mojave has the Rubicon axle width on it, so it's the wider axle, and then with that 3.5-inch backspace on the wheel, and that that 12.5 wide tire, that Cooper STT Pro, it really just has. It looks really, really good. Just perfect stance in my opinion.
So let me go back to the color matched fenders and the color matched top before I forget to talk about it, because when we went to go buy the truck, this dealership had 2 Gator colors. One of them had the color match and one of them had the black fenders and black top. And when I saw them in person, I was like, 100% this color, I want the color match. And so of course the top's not on right now, but when it is, it just looks so good. I finally, for the first time, took the top off just last week, and it's back up to like 106 degrees this week. So I think we're gonna put the top back on for the week. But I ended up getting a J-Tops sunshade and love it. It was a super easy install. It has a really tight webbing, so it really provides a lot of shade. There's no like gaps in the front where you're getting sun creeping in and hitting you in the eyes. And then it goes around the back, unlike other tops on the market. It goes around on the back and provides a lot of shade for your passengers in the back seat. And I've got kids, so that's important to me. It has 3
like metal bars that go across right here, and then up there that really prevent any kind of sagging or flapping. So I think it's a really good design.
Yeah, and I like the mesh, the tightness of the mesh. It really doesn't let a lot of sun in, but you still get that open air feel, which is nice. I think with these shade tops, it's nice to be able to feel protected, especially with us having kids. We have our 5-year-old back in the back of this Jeep all the time, and it's nice for him to not just be getting like blasted with the sun, so we can have that open air feel, but still have somewhat UV protection from the rays and just getting burnt and hot and all that good stuff.
What's next?
Let's get into the tailgate, or the bed.
So the first thing I did back here was the Built Right Industries Molly panel system. I actually put them both on the sides and had one on the back, which I ended up having to take off to put the tire carrier mount on. But these are super cool. You can mount all kinds of stuff. I only have my power tank up there right now. But,
we picked these up from the guys over at Power Tank. Tyler and Steve are awesome, and they reached out to Michelle and said, hey, we have this set up. If you guys want to try it out in yours, let us know. And so we went up there and, love seeing those guys and ended up picking it up. And I think it's a great setup, really easy to put together. She put it in herself in, I don't know, like 30, 35 minutes.
Yeah, and I use it too. I mean, last night I had something ratchet strapped in here, so having these little brackets back here is definitely cool. I ended up going with the Baja style tire carrier mount. This is DV8 makes this tire carrier. And
you went back and forth on what you wanted to do in the back as far as the tire is concerned, and like a rack or what have you.
There's so many cool things you can do with the Jeep truck. I like every time I see one that has a rack or a tent or anything, I'm like, it looks so good. But for me, I just I kind of wanted to have it more open, and so I went with this. I love this. Is the reason why I went with this tire carrier, because there's some other cool ones out there too. This one is adjustable, so you can make it go horizontal, and it has these pegs that click in, and then also it's on struts, and so theoretically you can even off-road with it being straight up, and you can use the space underneath it.
And you use it all the time. Yesterday we had. We'll get to it, what we had back there, but you flip it up and the tire, it sits perfectly parallel. It actually looks really cool like that as well. And you can throw everything you want underneath we go camping. So she loaded it up, get the coolers, all the camping gear, all that good stuff underneath the tire. And then she still has her spare tire. And honestly, it looks freaking rad in my opinion. It looks, we're not going to the desert, trophy truck in this thing, but it is a Mojave Edition. It does have the look, you want it to look, fit the look of the intention of the vehicle, and that tire back there I think looks really cool.
So most recent modification that Josh helped me with, he's always such a god when it comes to garage
I don't know
wrenching.
about that.
He's so helpful.
If you saw me in there sweating and cussing, you probably wouldn't say that. She's being very nice to me.
So this is the Evo 1/4 pounder front bumper. This was actually on 11s on Josh's Jeep before, but when I was looking at all the bumpers, this is the one I wanted, and he said, well, if you're gonna take that one, why don't you take mine? And he ended up replacing his with a Genrite bumper. But I love this bumper. He bought me the winch for my birthday back in April, and we finally made time to put this stuff on.
I'm going to just touch on the bumper real quick. This is one of my all-time favorite Jeep bumpers. I ran this on my JK for one of my JKs for the entirety of it. I ran it on my JL as well. Absolutely love it. Me being in the Jeep community and having done this for so long and using and testing different products and things like that, I wanted to just try something else new. Genrite makes a super high quality product. Wanted to, get into their network and start trying some of their products out. So that's why I switched the bumper up. But I absolutely love the Evo 1/4 pounder. I think it is just the epitome of what the front end of a Jeep should look like. Function and form and everything. So very, very cool. I mean, obviously this thing looks amazing with that on there.
Now that the brush guard or air dam is gone, now I notice that I need to start cleaning under my Jeep. So Josh lectured me on that.
They're like, now this is what all the Jeep people look at right here, right? So and just to let you guys know, like, we didn't clean this thing up before the video. It's in its normal habitat. She doesn't keep it dirty or anything like that, but what I try and do on this channel is keep stuff kind of relatively normal and real for the garage Jeep people. And so this is what it looked like when we decided to film the video this morning. So this is how you get it. It's not super clean, but it's definitely clean. But that being said, we do have the Evo front track bar on there. That actually came with my kit, and I didn't use it because Steer Smarts is one of my partners, and so obviously I have all the Steer Smart stuff on there. We will probably do on yours. I would like to do a Steer Smarts track bar and tie rod, and I think we're going to do an anti-rock on yours as well. That way you don't have to worry about disconnecting, connecting. The Mojave does not come with this front sway bar disconnect, because something when you're going fast is not necessarily needed. The other thing it doesn't come with is a front locker. And it doesn't come with the Rubicon transfer case. So what your trade-off on that is the suspension package, some of the beefed up components you get in there, some of the higher end interior things, your hood and things like that. So it kind of depends on what you want to do. If you want to rock crawl, Michelle's probably not going to rock crawl with this thing. Not that we don't take it off-road. It's been off-road, but she's not going to be doing, your level 7, 8, and 9 type trails on this thing. So I think a rear locker, good tires, bead locks, that sort of thing is plenty for what she needs to do as far as her wheeling is concerned. So I think the front end, let's go ahead and maybe touch in on some of the lighting on the front, and then we can, I don't know. So you guys know we're big in the KC family. Those guys are family to us, and we definitely do a lot with them. So Michelle, one of the things I love about her is she wants to be a Jeep person. She wants to be in the Jeep thing, but she doesn't want to like piggyback off all the stuff we've done. So a lot of the things she did were things that she wanted on her own, not to try and do the same as everybody else. So like what kind of lights can we do that we're going to do KCs no matter what, but what I'm running slim lights and I'm running Flex Era 4s, and she's like, well, let's do the Gravity, the Pro 6 on mine. So that's what we have up here. Is we have the Gravity, the spot beam on her A-pillar, and then that's powered by an S-Pod. So she has a 6-switch S-Pod powering those lights. Now that we have the bumper on, we have a 10-inch flex bar that we'll probably throw on the fair lead. I kind of forgot that in the shuffle, and getting that on there with everything is a little bit more, it's tight, pretty tight fit in there. So that, maybe do some lights on the bumper as well. I know we're talking about with Casey about trying to get a Pro 6 light bar, because with the Mojaves, they have a different cowl up here because of the hood. It's the same as the 392 Rubicon. So this bracket this is like the only one we found that would work with the light up here. There isn't really anybody making anything because of how most of them mount here. So that could potentially be down the line. What else have we got going on this thing in the future now? I think we've touched on all the mods.
I have some Generate half doors in the garage. We started working on those yesterday, drilling out the holes so we could we bought the best top mirrors for them, and so those are drilled out. Next step is to get the hinges on and get them fitted to the Jeep, and after that they'll go off to our good friend Keith, and he's going to do the body work and paint.
Anderson Auto Body.
And so half doors are in the mix. Who knows if it'll happen during this season of the year, but at least they'll be ready for next summer. So I'm excited about that.
A couple other things we did just on the suspension package. So you mentioned so basically what we did was the Rock Crawler 3-inch coils all the way around. We thought that was a good ride height. I really like the Rock Crawler coil. 3.5 seemed a little bit much, 2.5 not as much. We wanted to have good clearance on the tires, a good tire defender wheel gap. So we did the 3-inch coils. We also did the spacer wedge, or correction wedge, I think is what they call it, to level the Jeep out, and also gives you like another 1/2 inch of lift for leveling. And then we went with the Evo, the rear sway bar links, the extended links, because with we kind of pieced it together, right? We didn't buy a specific lift kit for it. So the Evo lower bump stop extensions, and then we did I have extended brake lines for her as well. We haven't put those on yet because she's not doing a ton of travel and drooping them excessively. It's not been high priority, but I want her to have that ability to not have to worry about, like the brake line being the limiting strap or the limiting factor on it. And so that is basically like, she mentioned all 8 control arms. We're still running stock drive lines. The angles on the drive lines are pretty decent. I'm not worried about it. There is a carrier bearing spacer. RockJock makes a nice little spacer that drops that rear drive line, puts it down in a really good, keeps it in a really good plane height wise. A couple other things that came on the Jeep from the factory that are really cool is she has the front facing. So when we went and looked at this, there was like 4 in the state or something like that in this color. And one dealer actually had 2. One of our local dealers had 2. So we went to we're going back and forth. We're like, let's go look at it and see the color in person. Let's go make sure, we want a Stingray or we want Gator. And once she saw the color match, everything, she's like, 100%, that's the one I want. So we kind of had to accept whatever options it had on it. And I think it had everything on it that we wanted. There was a couple things we didn't necessarily, like, wouldn't have paid for, like the
other seats. I was like, whatever, but now I love them. So.
Exactly. And the rocks, these are like their higher end step sliders or whatever. Obviously, they're not really Mopar ones. They're not great. They look cool, but they're not great for rock crawling. If you put a rock on that thing, it's going to dent it. But again, she's not rock crawling a lot. But it came with the front facing camera, which is really cool. This option was really cool, was the LED headlight option. So she's got the LED everything lights. These things are really nice, really bright. They have that halo option, LED tail lights. Probably the one thing I wish it would have been the auxiliary switch, the 4 switch, but you know, again, it didn't have it on there, so we didn't get it. It came with a nicer stereo system, things like that. So do you want to talk about the tires and why you went with the Cooper STT Pros?
Well, I mean, I like the look of the tread, and I kind of wanted to do something that nobody else in our group had. So nobody else was running Coopers, so that's what I went with.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, you know, obviously I run Milestar. I've run multiple tires, but Michelle, again, wants to do her own thing, which I can 100% appreciate. And again, in just us being able to broaden and for me to have better perspective and insight for everybody else to have run this tire, to be able to, you know, say like, oh, you know, most people you'll see are giving you opinions on what the only thing that they know, right? I've been doing this Jeep thing for a long time. I've built multiple Jeeps. I've run multiple suspension setups, multiple tire setups, multiple everything setups. So now being able to actually have a firsthand opinion on a tire like this and another tire, it's been a great tire. So I think it helps, you know, everybody else. You know, it helps me with what I'm presenting in terms of my knowledge of the Jeep and things to try different things out and have different perspective. But that being said, these tires have been great. She's put a lot of miles on this Jeep. We're almost at 30,000 miles on this thing, and it's like less than a year old. So it gets used, it gets driven. You know, we got kids, so it's always we're always going to practice or driving around for work or what have you. So is there anything else we didn't talk about the Factor 55. Let's maybe just touch on that real quick. So closed system winching. We did the orange, the Mojave front bumper. The stock Mojave front bumper has the Rubicons and everything have the tow hook, or they all have a tow hook. It comes with an orange hook, and so we wanted to keep that orange accent look on there, and that just gives it a nice little pop there. And then maybe I'll just elaborate quickly on what we did for the suspension to get the reservoirs to work. So these are, again, the Fox 2.5. This shock is this front shock is the shock that came off the lot with this Jeep. So really high end, really nice, super valved and tuned for this vehicle. But what they do is they have this really long remote reservoir hose, and with the stock bumper, it's mounted like tucked in down here on a special bracket that goes underneath the air dam here. And so in putting on the quarter pounder, you cut off the frame horn down here to get this bumper, so you have that nice clearance. It's high and tight to the frame, so like a mounting point on the frame no longer becomes available. I mean, I maybe could have done something or what have you, but with her not doing a ton of rock crawling, I basically replicated the setup I had when I was running the Fox 2.5s on my JL, and we attached the reservoir mount that comes with the shock, and then we put on 3 40-pound, let me see if I can get in there, 3 40-pound magnets. You can see the magnets right there. So this reservoir is, I mean, it's on here. I can't even grab it off, right? You can if you really yank on it, but it's going to stay. But if you hit it with a rock or something like that, you're just going to knock it right off versus break it off. And I bombed through the desert and done all that kind of good stuff, and it's held up. So I think it looks cool as well. It's probably not for everybody. Your hardcore rock crawler guys might put that into a rock and be worried about it, but for her setup and for what she's needing it for, I think it looks fantastic, and it works. So why don't you, is there anything else you want to close on, or have we covered everything? It's a lot to like go through when you go through a full walk around, and we got 2 people doing it. I think we got most everything. So if you have questions or comments or anything about this particular Jeep, I'm going to put my wife's Instagram profile, her Jeep Instagram profile. I'm going to put that in the comment section down below. And then if you have questions for me or for Michelle, please let me know in the comments. And thank you again for tuning in.